The Edwardian decade was England at its most confident, an empire at its peak, a city electrifying itself, the first wireless messages crossing the Atlantic. It was also the decade that produced some of the most methodical, most cold-blooded, and most disturbing murders in British criminal history. 4 cases, 4 corners of Edwardian England. Each one changed criminal investigation, British law, or public understanding of murder in ways still felt today. And each one left a question that the Edwardian courts, for all their formal confidence, could not fully answer. Dr. Hawley Harvey Crippen was a small, mild-mannered American homeopath practicing in London. The sort of man neighbors recalled raised his hat to everyone he passed and kept his voice perpetually low. He lived at 39 Hilldrop Crescent, Holloway, with his wife Cora, a music hall singer of modest talent and considerable temperament, and was quietly, entirely devoted to his secretary, Ethel Leneve. In February 1910, Cora Crippen disappeared. Crippen told her friends she had gone to America and died of pneumonia. He moved Ethel into the Hilldrop Crescent house. He gave Cora's jewelry and furs to Ethel. When Scotland Yard came to call, Chief Inspector Dew found nothing suspicious, was satisfied, and left. Crippen immediately packed, bought passage to Canada under assumed names, and dressed Ethel Leneve as a boy. When Dew returned to the house 3 days later and searched it more thoroughly, he found beneath the cellar floor, under quicklime, the dismembered remains of a woman. The poison identified in the tissue? Hyoscine hydrobromide, a substance Crippen had purchased from a London chemist weeks before Cora's disappearance, in the largest single dispensary order for hyoscine that chemist had ever recorded. Crippen had been at sea for 4 days. The captain of the SS Montrose, Henry Kendall, had grown suspicious of a father and son traveling together, whose relationship struck him as something else entirely. He sent a wireless telegraph to Scotland Yard. Have strong suspicion that Crippen, London cellar murderer, and accomplice are among saloon passengers. Mustache taken off, growing beard. Accomplice dressed as boy. Voice, manner, and build, undoubtedly a girl. Inspector Dew booked a faster ship. He arrived in Canada before the Montrose docked. He met Crippen and Leneve at the gangplank. Crippen was tried at the Old Bailey in October 1910 and executed at Pentonville Prison on November 23, 1910. Ethel Leneve was acquitted. She lived until 1967 and never spoke publicly about him again. In 2007, DNA analysis of the cellar remains produced a result that the forensic team did not expect. The DNA did not match known descendants of Cora Crippen. Whether the body in the cellar was actually Cora's has never been officially revisited. On the morning of June 1st, 1902, in the Suffolk village of Peasenhall, a young servant named Rose Harsent, 23, was found dead in the kitchen of Providence House, where she worked. She was 6 months pregnant. Her throat had been cut. Beside her body, a broken medicine bottle, the remnants of a burnt candle, and the evidence of a fire that had been set to her nightgown. Suspicion fell on William Gardner, 35, a married foreman at the local seed works, a father of 6 children, and a prominent lay preacher at the Primitive Methodist Chapel. Letters in Rose Harsent's possession suggested intimacy between them. A medicine bottle found at the scene was identified as matching a preparation Gardner was known to use. William Gardner was tried at Ipswich Assizes in November 1902. The jury could not agree. A retrial was ordered. In January 1903, a second jury, the same evidence, a second failure to agree. Gardner was formally discharged without conviction. The jury have been unable to agree upon a verdict. A retrial will be ordered. In a case of this gravity, a result that satisfies no one and resolves nothing does not serve the community or the memory of the deceased. William Gardner sold his house, changed his name, and moved away from Suffolk. He lived until 1941, dying without ever having been convicted of anything, and without ever having publicly addressed the death of Rose Harsent. The broken medicine bottle was destroyed as evidence after the second trial. Rose Harsent has no memorial. In 1899, Miss Camille Holland, a genteel spinster of 56 with a private income of approximately £6,000, met Samuel Herbert Dougal through a matrimonial advertisement. Dougal was 53, a former army sergeant with a history of fraudulent dealings and a documented pattern of relationships with wealthy women that had not ended well for any of them. She bought Coldham's farm in Clavering, Essex, in March 1899. On May 19, 1899, Camille Holland was last seen alive, walking with Dougal in the farm lane at dusk. He told neighbors she had gone to London, then abroad. Over the following 4 years, he brought a succession of young women to the farm, spent Camille Holland's money freely, and continued to draw on her bank account, forging her signature on every check. It was the checks that caught him. In 1903, a bank clerk noticed that every one of Camille Holland's withdrawals since May 1899 was written in the same handwriting, Dougal's. Police were called. Dougal was arrested on fraud charges, while investigators began a systematic search of the farm. On April 27, 1903, a constable's probe struck something in a drained section of the farm's drainage ditch. The fully clothed, well-preserved body of Camille Holland, shot once through the head. She had been in the ground for 4 years. 4 years during which Samuel Herbert Dougal had walked above her every day, forged her name every week, and brought other women to the farm she had bought with the last of her savings.
The body of a woman, subsequently identified as Miss Camille Holland, was recovered from the drainage system of Moat Farm at approximately 11:20 a.m. The body is clothed in the dress described by witnesses as worn by Miss Holland on the evening of 19th May, 1899. A single gunshot wound to the posterior cranium is evident. The body has been in the ground for approximately 4 years. Samuel Herbert Dougal was executed at Chelmsford Prison on July 14, 1903. According to the prison chaplain, his last word, spoken as the trapdoor opened, was a single syllable: guilty. On the morning of September 12, 1907, a young man named Bert Shaw returned home from a night shift on the Midland Railway to his lodgings at 29 St. Paul's Road, Camden Town. In the bedroom, he found Phyllis Dimmick, 23. She was lying on the bed. Her throat had been cut with a razor while she slept. The cut was so precise and so deep that the London coroner observed it demonstrated either surgical knowledge or considerable practice with a blade. Phyllis supplemented her income through prostitution and was known to bring clients to the rooms when Shaw was on night shifts. Among her belongings, police found a charred letter requesting a meeting and the partly burned fragments of a postcard bearing a pen and ink sketch of a rising sun. Witnesses identified the drawing as belonging to Robert Wood, 29, an artist employed at a glasswork company in Gray's Inn Road. Wood was tried at the Old Bailey in December 1907. His defense counsel, Edward Marshall Hall, delivered a closing speech that ran for nearly 4 hours and reduced members of the jury to tears. Robert Wood was acquitted on December 12, 1907. The Camden Town murder was never solved.
Look at him. Look at this young man. Is this the face of a man capable of the act described in this indictment? You are not being asked to find him guilty of being unwise or imprudent or foolish in his associations. You are being asked to find him guilty of murder. And on that charge, on the evidence before you, you cannot. The case left a permanent cultural mark beyond the acquittal.
Walter Sickert, the Impressionist painter who lived in the same streets and was known to have encountered Phyllis Dimick, produced a series of paintings titled The Camden Town Murder, depicting a clothed man beside the body of a naked woman in a squalid Edwardian bedsit. In the 1990s, journalist Patricia Cornwell publicly named Sickert as Jack the Ripper, citing these paintings as evidence of private knowledge of violent crime. The allegation has been disputed by art historians and criminal investigators alike. It has never been formally investigated. Sickert died in 1942. The Camden Town paintings hang today in major public museums. Crippen, who was caught by the technology he had not imagined could move faster than his ship. Rose Harsant, whose killer 2 Suffolk juries could never unanimously name. Camille Holland, who lay in a ditch for 4 years while her murderer forged her name and walked above her. Phyllis Dimick, whose death a painter memorialized in oil, exhibited in public, and never explained. 4 Edwardian cases, 2 executions, 1 acquittal, 1 village that could never agree, and a question about what is in the cellar at 39 Hilldrop Crescent that remains, formally and officially, without an answer. The case files are in the National Archives. The paintings are in the Tate. The questions are still open.